it can be easier to go to a new organization completely and start from the scratch, basically, because you always, if you imagine working like prior to getting promoted in your first people managerial role, there's been things happening before anyway, so there is a certain history in place, that you need to take into consideration when you're leading people. So, and I mean, people are complex,
Yeah. Welcome to WITT. Hi, I'm Megan. I talk with founders, investors, and operators working in tech. My aim is to inspire you with their stories and perspectives. Through this podcast, I want to amplify the voice of women working in tech. If you want to support WITT, then make sure you follow us on your favourite podcasting app. Then you won't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is Inka. She's a marketing strategist with a sharp eye for e-commerce growth, cross-functional leadership, and scaling digital retail across the Nordics. Let's get into it. Hi Inka, welcome to WITT. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Hi Megan, nice to be here.
Well, I would love to kick off our conversation with a lightning round. Is that okay?
Yes, let's go.
Jump straight in with the first question. Question number one. What's one marketing trend you wish that would just go away?
I think some AI-driven content in general, like too much of an AI content, like not something that is enhanced with AI or it's like that, but like fully AI built, not referring to any robotic stuff or things like that, but like can be easily done very unauthentic. Let's put it that way.
Got it. Yeah. And then second question, are you an early bird or a night owl?
I can be both. It's a really tricky question.
Okay. And then question number three, what's one thing you wish more people understood about the e-commerce in the Nordics?
I think in general, like the possibilities of the e-commerce, especially I find that from the Finnish point of view, that in Finland there is like huge opportunities for understanding the huge scalability possibilities for the e-commerce in general.
Lovely. Fourth question, would you say Instagram Reels or TikToks are more impactful? Which one would you say are more impactful?
I'm a TikTok girly these days, so
fair enough.
Yeah.
Next question, what's a common mistake brands make when working with influencers?
To find a really good brand fit is probably number one. Your influencer really needs to be engaged with the brand and the product to make it actually,
impactful.
Right? Yeah, definitely. It can't be like cheesy or unauthentic. Then it really doesn't generate.
Yeah, engage with the audience, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then number 6, if you weren't in tech, what would you be doing?
Probably doing something with entertainment and art. I have a little bit artsy background with my school and stuff. So I actually wanted to have an acting or music career back in the days. So
lovely. And then what advice would you give, like career advice, would you give to your younger self?
Don't rush too much and take your time. Everything will, happen for a reason. And I don't get too stressed that you need to do everything right now and in such a hurry. Enjoy kind of the life in between.
Living.
Yeah.
Very important question, I would say. Would you rather have milk chocolate, white chocolate, or dark chocolate?
Fatter milk chocolate.
Yeah. Okay, particular.
Very Finnish answer for that.
Fair enough. And then what is your go-to strategy for staying productive and focused?
I think recovery is a key. Whatever suits for you. Sleep, obviously, essential. recovery in general. For some people it's sport, for some people it's like just reading a book, whatever it is. Find the way how to, have like good routines for recovering, especially if working in like intense hyper business, that what I've been doing for a couple of years now. So
find that kind of downtime.
Exactly.
Got it. And then the last question for the lightning round is if you had to describe your journey in 3 emojis, what would they be and why?
Is it like a wind, a spiral thingy?
I mean, I guess like a tornado.
Yeah, tornado.
Tornado.
Since it's been quite a lot in a short period of time. Star, since I kind of feel like I've been working with a lot of stars, different talents, colleagues, and so on. And heart.
Nice. And any particular reason, or just because?
Just for the good vibes, I think.
Just for the good vibes. Fair. Well, that was really cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for answering my lightning round questions.
Thank you.
And then let's move on to your journey, right? So you are Finnish, you live here in Finland, and you've worked across, I would say, just an incredible amount of industries. So influencer marketing, brand content, and now e-commerce. I want to understand how you kind of got your career started. What were the first steps?
Yeah, actually, like as a student, I worked in event marketing business. So a bunch of like interesting, fun events like festivals and stuff. And got networked quite broadly with like people from different industries, since we worked with a lot of different brands. Got into fairly entertaining part of branding and marketing. I love brands and like creating interesting phenomena around brands that kind of started to build up when working within the event marketing industry. But then I really wanted to leap on the digital part, since I obviously felt that's a little bit like the future, sort of. And I also got to experience a lot in the event part. So then I kind of just leaped into influencer marketing industry when it was just starting in Finland. It was like actually the first YouTube network in the Nordics, Splay One, was one of the first kind of recruitments that they did, where they had like a small team put together on that point. That was probably the when it all started. But I think like due to my creative background from like school and stuff, even though I ended up going to the business school, I've always had this like creative aspect that's been really important to me. And it's been kind of in like present in like both event marketing, in influencer marketing for sure, when the whole like content is super creative. Business in general, you have a bunch of very talented influencers also from different points of view and different contents and niche contents and stuff like that. So it is actually like a really creative business itself, so definitely. It doesn't mean that I need to kind of contribute with something extremely creative myself, but I need to be kind of surrounded by some kind of creative aspects, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, long story short, with ecom, I then kind of jumped into another side of a table, since we had a lot of customers or clients from ecom world. And I kind of learned quite well the business model, even though on staying on an agency side. So I got really curious about scaling the e-com in general.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what you do, a lot of people do, but it starts with the people, right? So when you first started managing people, what was the process of leading and managing others for the first time? Anyways,
I mean, I'm a people's person. I remember when I was in uni, my mom said to me, no matter what you end up doing, don't work only with numbers, work with people. Just like a friendly reminder. I think that's your, personality.
Yeah.
So for me, it kind of certain aspects in leadership comes natural for me, like some social skills help for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a long journey.
Definitely.
Obviously, you can't be too harsh for for yourself. Especially in my case, I took quite of a big team in a short time. Obviously, you need to be humble. You might face a lot of criticism. I had a really not good bond with everyone in my team when I started to manage people. Already, I knew the team members and stuff like that. That helped, obviously.
Yeah.
But it also can be another way around if you have a complex history or something. For me, it was definitely a strong point, but sometimes it can be, on the contrary, easier to go in completely different environment and not knowing anyone.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Which would you say is kind of easier?
For me, nowadays, when I have experience on that, I'd say I'm so curious person. I would love to do the both, but it can be easier to go to a new organization completely and start from the scratch, basically, because you always, if you imagine working prior to getting promoted in your first people managerial role, there's been things happening before anyway. So there is a certain history in place, that you need to take into consideration when you're leading people. So, and I mean, people are complex,
Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's easier to start from scratch, definitely. But for me, I got positive energy from knowing the team. So,
Can go
depends.
both ways, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. And talking about kind of people and that sort of thing, but
Yeah.
let's lean into kind of team culture, right? So similar topic, but how do you build a team culture that's not only kind of high performing, but also kind of generally happy people?
Well, I think, like you mentioned before, I think good bunch of people, that's the key. Honestly, no matter the industry, that's you have right people and the right team. That's like the success story for from almost any successful business stories, literally. But also to making sure that people are in the right places. So I think good HR strategy helps, and modern HR strategy that has a really good talent management strategies thought through, that you really take time on taking everyone in the team as an individual and understanding their strong points and maybe some weaknesses, or where they need to develop themselves, but also what really drives them. I think sometimes that depth is missing, so kind of building certain foundation for a proper HR strategy, which is not separate, some bullshit separate HR fugazi. but it's like really tied into daily leadership.
Yeah, definitely. Good points, I would say. And I want to stay on the same kind of topic, and I want to talk about like what advice you would give to companies to kind of better the support. Let's just stick with women in leadership, especially during kind of pregnancies or parenthood. What would be your advice?
I mean, I've myself promoted, for example, a pregnant lady to my management team, actually, previous job. You know, it's really difficult to find like top-notch talents. And instead, like, count on your intuition of having the right people in right places, and don't let these kind of things certain like create a noise around it. If you think like this is a right person to this role, you'll make it work, no matter the person is getting on maternity leave or whatever. Don't let that kind of ruin your idea of having, for example, right people in right places. Since I know these days it shouldn't be an obstacle for promoting or hiring someone if they're pregnant or planning something like that. But it still is a little bit of a taboo, or like, you know, uh, still normally kids have two parents as well. We have a really good system in Finland and in a lot of other Nordic countries, especially, that really supports that. Also, myself, I personally know female entrepreneurs that had 0 days of maternal leave and had their baby at their own office, or jungled in that reality. So, I mean, it's life. Also, for guys, I mean, if they become fathers, that has an impact to their work life as well. But that never, like, I haven't heard any stories of guys not being promoted from that reason. So
Yes, very important issue. And how do we change this? How do we kind of support these people?
yeah, I mean, like, I think transparency is a key, obviously, in this
Of
topic
course.
as well, and like discussion around, and like in some cases maybe you don't see the fit because of that. There might be some nuances or details, but also like flexibility, especially when talking about management roles. There are very rarely some roles that needs to start tomorrow. Very often the recruitment time is quite long, since
Yeah.
it's really, really important to find a right talent for this role. So I think also flexibility and understanding around that, since you might be then losing a really good candidate as well. So
Yeah. Very true, very true. And I want to switch topics a little bit and talk about, so you've taken on country manager roles before, and you've been responsible for managing P&L.
mhm.
Let's talk a bit about that. So what does it look for you? What does it look like for you in a successful business?
I mean, I've worked with like hyper growth industries, so where some of the industries, well, especially in tech, in a huge growth, the profitability is obviously something that a lot of companies struggle with. Something that I'm super keen on is like how to make things the most sense, kind of in numbers as well. I find it really interesting to tweak the organizations, the operations, to make things, like to build things and operations that make sense also with the numbers, not only within like high level strategy. Since early enough profitability very often means then long-term success, honestly, and easier, like so much more tools to build long-term success. But for me, it's been basically like turning around a bunch of things and like trying out different things, and also as a country manager to make sure that whether the big company strategy works in my market as well, since some things that work, for example, in Sweden might not work in Finland, and will eventually not make sense in P&L either if it doesn't work for the Finnish customers, for example. So it's like a very hyper role, understanding the like numbers and like I really love budgeting, even though I'm a creative person. So maybe it's something that some yin yang thing that calms me down a little bit. But then I also like people management, so I like to find how to build successful teams also operationally and stuff like that. So you get to do a little bit everything. I think that's fun.
Which is awesome, which is really great.
Yeah.
Let's move into, so we've kind of now entered the part of the podcast which I like to call the zigzag zone. So I want to know where you're zagging and everyone else is zigging. So kind of what skills did you master to successfully lead as a company manager in Finland when the kind of head office is in Sweden, for example?
I mean, Finland is some country that is really one odd one out sometimes in the Nordics, really.
Yes.
I think
yes, very true.
like cultural differences is such a cliche, but like endless, honestly. And
very true, yeah.
And in my role, honestly, that's been something. Let's take an example from, I mean, I have tons, but like from influencer marketing, for example, certain platforms that were like years ahead. In Sweden, for example, we were just not ready to launch in Finland. Like someone could have been in the management team or in Sweden, they in headquarters, like just wondering why isn't this growing in Finland, and then I just stubbornly like showed a little bit of, or told about the market situation in Finland and so on, because country specific trends are a big thing.
Definitely.
In global scene, it might look that Nordics are one similar region or part of Europe, but they're actually like really different countries with huge differences, I'd say. So
definitely.
That's one part, since, for example, in influencer marketing, Sweden is one of the actually like leading countries in the world, like globally. They're really like good with that industry. So I always had to calm down a little bit. For example, my old boss, that it wasn't the time yet to launch some products in Finland, for example, or another example from ecom is products assortment. Successful assortment in different countries is couldn't be more different in a lot of things. Our like climate, I really had to be stubborn on making, for example, Danish people to understand how cold it might be in Finland sometimes, that we need certain winter gear assortment, for example. And these are big investments in retail to kind of commit to certain products. For example, winter coats are not cheap and so on. Or, for example, pitched that we need sauna products to be in our store, only because we have more saunas than cars in Finland.
Yes.
So, I mean, cultural differences in my roles being huge thing.
Yeah, definitely. It is like a a massive kind of shift that a lot of people don't think about, especially in the kind of the Nordic area of like, oh no, they're just all the same country, basically, you know? So yeah, no, that's really, it makes a lot of sense. And let's move on to story time now. So I want to know what happened with the selling of a company to a Shark Tank entrepreneur or shark. How did that happen?
Well, when I was country manager at Splay, I was really new at my role and quite frankly pretty young also. So in the beginning, first there was COVID and huge transformation in the company due to the COVID and difficult market and stuff like that. But then in the beginning, when I got the role, I learned that the company would be in the business acquisition as well. So basically, one of my first project was to be part of the due diligence and pitching the company for prominent buyer, and basically then learned also that the buyer might be a very famous entrepreneur in Sweden. Is also known for being a shark in Shark Tank in Sweden. So I can tell you, it was kind of an intimidating to pitch a company for a literal shark from Shark Tank, who was like just roasting me on numbers and stuff like that. And I can tell you that pitching for a real life shark, an actual business they're planning to buy, and in this case, the whole company, you need to tell much more numbers than in Shark Tank episodes. So,
they wouldn't have time for all the numbers in the episodes.
I know. But it was actually really fast. So the pitching was quite intense, but really, really rewarding since they bought the company also. Yeah.
Gotta love it. That was a really interesting story. Thank you so much for sharing with me. I'm now coming sadly to the end of the podcast, but I have 3 final questions for you. So first one is, imagine it's 2035, so in 10 years time, what does your life look like?
I hope that I get to be leading some interesting, fresh company, most likely digitally born company, working in diverse, interesting group of people, jungling somewhere between family life and business. I think that will be something as well. Also, I hope that I get to work with some interesting pro bono cases. Might have some side hustle.
All good things to wish for, I think.
Yeah.
And then next question is, how can listeners follow along with your journey?
Via LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever in social media channels.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And then last question is, how can listeners, so the audience, be useful to you? So what can they do to help you?
I mean, I also love always a good dialogue and discussions. I've recently kind of connected with a bunch of new people via LinkedIn, for example, and had new contacts over coffee or lunch or so on. I mean, I'm always up for interesting new contacts and kind of to refreshing my own ideas and visions, I would say.
Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'm really looking forward to following along with your journey, but thank you.
Thank you. That was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To make sure you don't miss next week's episode, follow us on your favorite podcasting app. Do consider leaving us a review, as it helps the podcast tremendously.